The Other Side. My name is Alex Schubert. I'll be your host today. The Other Side is produced by Community Counseling of Bristol County. Today I am joined by a very special guest, Tony DeBlois, and his mother Janice. Welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. So I am just really thrilled to have the both of you here today. Tony just has a really special story and remarkable talent, which I'm really pleased to be able to show to our little local part of the world who has maybe never witnessed Tony or heard his story. So maybe to start us off, if one of you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about where Tony's come from, his background, and a little bit of his remarkable story.
Tony was born in 1974, weighing 1 pound and 3/4 of an ounce.
Wow.
And when he was 6 weeks old, his arm was the size of my finger.
Wow. At 6 weeks?
Yeah. He's blind because of the amount of oxygen that they had to use to save his life. He was diagnosed with autism at age 5 and with savant syndrome at age 15.
So savant syndrome, that's a little different. Not that autism is becoming unfortunately more common, but savant in itself is not common.
There's 50 in the world.
50 in the world.
And
Wow.
I think that's prodigious musical savants.
So that was my next question. So what makes Tony autistic savant? What does savant mean, first of all?
Well, savant means all-knowing, and the character Raymond can do with math, I can do with music.
Okay, so that's one character that many people are familiar with, Rain Man.
How many of you seen Dustin Hoffman in the movie?
Right, Dustin Hoffman famously portraying Rain Man.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what most people think of when they hear savant, if they know at all anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So math was his gift, but your gift is
Mine's music, yep.
Music. And so what is that gift exactly? What can you do with music?
Well, suppose I go to a jazz club like Scullers. The Winokur band would be playing the first set of the hour of the band. We start, depending on what selections people know.
Can I step in here?
You can talk now, Mom.
Tony has the ability to hear a song once and play it.
Wow, that's amazing.
And the words take me longer to learn because I have problems with pronoun reversals in songs.
So it's the music itself that touches us.
But yeah, I pick it up instantly, but the words take me longer to learn.
They actually did an MRI of him. They played a piece of music that he had never heard before, and it's just like fire going on in there.
Wow.
They played that same piece to him 2 weeks later, and it's like nothing. It's like, I already know that, don't bother me with it.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, there's been a lot of studies done recently. I know Oliver Sacks has been doing that.
We've gotten to hear him in Cambridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, music is just such an amazing universal thing, but to be able to listen to it once, that's something that obviously very, very few people can do.
Yeah, like when someone sends me a CD of a song and I go, those words are hard. And I go, right, Mom?
But Tony sings in 11 languages.
Wow.
But Dorothy sent me
to
21
him.
Hebrew songs on CD and learned them all on CD.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, I learned it off the CD.
That's just such an amazing gift, and what a wonderful thing. Music, again, is something almost everybody has a love for and appreciation for, and the gift of music. It must be a joy to have that in your house all the time.
It is, yeah.
That's wonderful.
I have my own iPod that hangs right on my arm.
Right. And I guess music must mean a lot to you as well, Tony.
Yes, it does.
So there are many different ways that people, or many different terms throughout history for somebody with autism. But what term do you like, Tony? What do you want people to use?
Savants.
Savant. So what does it mean to you when you hear savant?
It's like all-knowing. It's like, with people with autism, it's like I experience a lot of times when I'm up on stage, the rocking behaviors, the hand flapping,
Sure, yeah.
the finger flicking, toe tapping type of behaviors. And we have a song, it's called Try to Find Me. I'm in here with the lonely light, but maybe you can see me. But I'm in here with my mind on fire. Do your best and try to find me. Underneath with the lonely light that screams for the daylight. Oh, and through my eyes I can see for sure, and my soul shines on and try to find me. 'Cause I'm trapped in the web of a dark night. Won't you please be my bridge into daylight? When I know I am loved, I am alright. Then try to find me. Try to find me. Hear my heart. It's the same as yours, but it beats with it as thunder. Oh, and I'm still in here with my heart so pure. I can stand enough more. Won't you unlock my door and try to find me?
That's wonderful. I mean, answering my question with a song. It kind of reminds me of when we were first talking about doing this interview. You were telling me a story about when he was interviewing at Berkeley. I'm wondering if you could share that story now.
Well, one of the things that happened was Tony had won a scholarship to go to Berkeley. And they said, how are we going to test him? And it's simple. You ask him questions, because at that time, Tony, well, he still doesn't read or write, and has not graduated from 8th grade or high school. And he did not have conversational speech at that time. So they said, how are we going to test him? You know, that's what the colleges are interested in.
Sure, right.
Got to
Always.
test. I said, it's simple. You ask him questions in such a way that he can play the answer on the keyboard. When he can do that, you plug him into the computer and you tape the answers and he turns in a computer disk instead of a test. You just have to ask him questions in such a way that he can play the answer on the keyboard. Because what are you testing? Whether he can read or write, whether he knows music theory.
Well, that's amazing, and just an amazing song you played there, Tony, and just so appropriate to your story and what we're talking about. I was wondering, you were talking a little bit about being on stage with other people with autism.
Oh, I love it. It's fun.
So are there values that
Well,
you share?
We have a message for you. It's okay to be different. Believe in yourself.
And that's a pretty universal message.
And don't give up on your dreams.
Right.
Always have high hopes. The two most important words are thank yous. And the 3 P's are practice, practice, practice.
That's very important to know, right? How do you get to Carnegie Hall?
Practice, 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 like every day.
Right.
And I do practice at least 2.5 hours every day.
Do you?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
great. So I think, my next question is there are kind of unique challenges to having a diagnosis of
Well-
autism. How do you approach those challenges? How do you
My challenge would be to play Rhapsody in Blue with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
That is an amazing. So that's one of your
Yeah,
goals?
that'll be my goal, is I want to play with the Chicago Symphony.
I think that's a great goal.
But back to some of the
Well,
challenges that he
Some
had
of my challenges,
is that when he was first diagnosed with autism, Tony had been being cared for at a YMCA daycare in El Paso, Texas, and had already been there for 3 years, got a diagnosis of being autistic, and all of a sudden they called me up and told me that they didn't know how to care for him. We had to threaten them with a 504 action suit,
Right.
and they would have lost all the funding for their 22 daycare centers had they not serviced Tony.
Yeah, back then, there was much less autism awareness.
Yeah.
Now most places have somebody who specializes in autism.
Not even just autism. The federal law 94-142, which is the Education of All Handicapped Children Act, was passed in November of 1973. Tony was born in January 22nd of 1974.
Okay.
So the law was on the books,
Right.
but nobody had pioneered the effort and made sure that what was supposed to happen did. Tony did such things as when we were in South Dakota, he went to school at the School for the Visually Impaired, and it was a 3-hour drive away from Pierre where we lived.
Wow.
And he would go to school for 10 days and be home for 4. So we'd take him up on a Monday, and he would stay there until the following Friday. Come home for 4 days, and have to leave on Monday to go back, which wasn't bad. However, I had just received my Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education, Special Education with Kindergarten and Early Childhood endorsements. And so after I got Tony and my other son, Raymond, who has Asperger's syndrome, settled into their schools, and with my brand new degree, I figured I'm going to get a job because there's not that many special education teachers out there. And I get told by the school system that they can't hire me to teach school because I need continuity in my classroom, and I would have to be gone 1 day a week from my classroom. To which I said, but transportation's not my job. Transportation is the school system's job. And by the way, they just closed down the commercial airline between Pierre and Aberdeen. You will fly my child back to school by private airplane. Tony, as far as I know, is the only child who flew to school by private airplane.
I would think so, not many.
And
So a lot of challenges.
And then when we moved him out of that school into the Black Hills Special Services Cooperative, because we had to have tried all the options in the state before we sent him to Perkins School for the Blind. They thought, well, actually, even before that, when Tony was in El Paso, Texas, and he went to the School for the Blind in Austin, Texas, they thought that I should quit my classes at college, and God only knows what I was supposed to do with my other son, but they thought that I should fly on the airplane with Tony to take him to Austin, Texas. And I said, there is no other mother who has to get on the school bus and ride with their son to school. And they had just made it so that parents could put their kids on planes and grandparents take them off.
Okay.
So Tony is the very first handicapped child to ride and be put on a plane by a parent and the school system take them off. We made sure that the El Paso Times was there to make sure that the word got down the line.
Right. So yeah, definitely a lot of different challenges. but along with the challenges come certain strengths, and I think Tony was kind of talking a little bit about the strengths. What strengths do you think are particular to both you and maybe anybody with an
Well,
autism spectrum?
I think with the spectrum now, it's like the music would be one thing, and I think anyone who has a strength, I have problems having my food cut up. So I have trouble with wrist coordination with cutting my food. Like,
We've taught Tony how to go into a restaurant and how to request what he needs to request.
Like-
because they think, that he
like
looks
we speak to the
normal. He's-
manager,
They
they'll
think
cut my food up.
they think that he's only blind, and they can't figure out why a blind person can't cut up their food.
Sure.
But I
So
would have
Tony-
mommy
so
cut my
Tony-
food up.
So Tony asked them
To cut
because,
it.
because I'm not going to be with him all of his life.
Can
so
you
I
please
taught
cut my
him
food up?
to say, would you please cut up my food because I have problems with wrist coordination.
So one of those strengths is just the ability to advocate for yourself, to say,
Like-
this
Yeah.
is what I need.
Yeah.
And that's huge. A lot of people have a lot of trouble
Yeah.
just saying,
Like
this
we
is what I
go,
need.
like we go to the 99 restaurant, and I would ask the manager, and I would speak to the manager about it. I go to the restaurant manager, and he goes, "Oh, we can have it cut for you." It was not a problem.
Sure, yeah.
We had a waitress one day who decided that she couldn't cut up his food. We told the manager, and the manager came up, and he personally cut up his food.
Sure, I'm sure, yeah.
I have my steak
And
cut
my,
up.
and my other son who has Asperger's, I had to, because he has Asperger's syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome,
Klinefelter's.
and he has a T4 paraplegia.
And what was the last one?
A T4 paraplegia.
Okay.
He's
In a wheelchair.
The thoracic 4, which means that he's paralyzed from here down. He was at a special needs school out in the Berkshires, and one staff member took him and 4 of the kids with special needs out hiking on the Appalachian Trail. And then he stayed in the shelter with 2 of the students, let my son and 2 others go off by themselves. My son fell 42 feet
Oh, wow.
off the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, that's horrible.
But with him, it was just a thing of getting him on the phone, talking to his doctors and with all of his appointments and everything, and putting him on speakerphone and helping him to go through and just do all the conversations. He handles all of his medical appointments by himself. Can't handle money worth a darn.
Sure.
I mean, I can't send him to the store with $10, tell him to buy the things that he needs to buy, come back with a receipt and the correct change.
Right.
But he manages to lose it.
So definitely unique challenges there.
Yes.
But again, I mean, the ability to adapt to those challenges and find ways to work around
Yeah.
it is what's important. Now, we were talking a little bit, you were mentioning one of the important laws that was passed that really helped or to make life a little easier for Tony and people with similar needs. I mean, are there other kind of historical challenges that you've faced in your lifetime or that you've heard about?
Tony is the first multiply impaired person to be admitted to Berklee College of Music. As a matter of fact, when Tony won his scholarship there, the criteria to go to Berklee was that you had to be able to sight read. You no longer have to be able to sight read to go to Berklee.
Wow, so that's definitely
And-
a
and
very
the-
historic thing
Yeah.
for Berkeley.
And they have since partnered with Perkins School for the Blind.
Huh?
And there is
There's a
at
new
least-
technology center now.
Yeah, Perkins has a brand new multi-million-dollar technology center. Berkeley, since Tony went there, has since hired at least 2 people, 1 person in a wheelchair, and their new technology person is blind.
Oh, great.
And I'm going to be able to start, hopefully, taking computer classes with one of the alums.
That's fantastic. I was reading an article about all the different technology for people who are blind. And
You were.
yeah, I was, just the other day, in fact. and it's just amazing how far it's come. Still a long way to go, but
And there's a recording studio, and they want me to do a radio interview.
ought to have for a future program, some of the people who are
From
doing
Perkins.
with all of the technology that they are doing for people with autism.
yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how far it's coming, but again, how far it needs to come
Yeah,
still.
all the social skills that they're working on and that.
Yeah,
all-
yeah, absolutely. So we've talked a lot about how having that diagnosis has affected your life, but really it seems like there's been a lot of positive that's gone with it. I
Yeah.
mean, just reading your biography, the places you've been.
Yep,
it's just
Singapore
amazing.
twice, Taiwan 3 times, Canada, Ireland, Limerick and Dublin, Ireland. We just got back from Lagos and Abuja, Nigeria. Then we just got back from, we were in Orlando, Florida. Then we did a concert there at Blessed Trinity Church. We were in Pennsylvania. We played in the Frackville area. Then we were in New Jersey. We did a concert there. We just got back from Elmira, New York. Did another concert there.
And yeah, in 2008, between the Olympics and the
China,
Paralympics,
Beijing, China.
That's right. I saw that actually, it's on YouTube.
It's on
The
YouTube,
video of
on
you
the
playing.
internet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of you singing, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some amazing opportunities, and also books written about
And there are
you,
books and there are
Yeah.
CDs for
Yeah,
sale.
I wrote one
Lifetime
book.
movie.
yeah, a
That's
movie
right.
about it. He's got
Yeah.
7 poems
There's 7
written about
CDs
him.
out now.
He's a character in somebody else's book.
Oh, right, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell people I have 7 CDs out.
And we just got invited asked if we would be willing to go to Ecuador to do a fundraiser for the first autism clinic in Ecuador.
Oh, wow.
He's going to sing in Spanish.
Abre mis ojos, Señor. Ayúdame a verte, Señor. Abre mis ojos, Señor. Ayúdame a ver. Abre mis oídos, Señor. Ayúdame a oír tu voz. Abre mis oídos, Señor. Ayúdame a oír. Abre mi corazón, Señor. Ayúdame a amar como tú. Abre mi corazón, Señor. Ayúdame a amar. Vives en mí, Señor, dentro de mi corazón. Vives en mí, Señor, descansa ahora en mí.
I don't speak any Spanish.
I do sing in Spanish. Open my eyes in Spanish. We sing that at Pentecost
Okay.
at our church. And we're going to be we just got asked to go to Argentina, Ecuador, South America, and Puerto Rico.
Well, it's a good thing you sing in Spanish then.
Just learning.
Just learning.
Yeah,
right?
it took him like 3 days
3 days to learn it in Spanish.
to learn the words to it.
To learn the words.
That's amazing. Really.
And Tina was our cantor from St. Mary's, came over and taught me the Spanish words.
Okay.
Tony actually sings in 11 languages.
Right, that's amazing. Absolutely, and beautiful. So, what are some stereotypes people have of people with autism?
Well, the things like
You know what a stereotype is?
like rocking behaviors. When I'm sitting in a rocking chair at home, I hand flap. I do the hand flapping when we're up there. It's like, Mom, I see you flapping up there. No flapping. Could please stop flapping. And I just put my hands down and control the behavior when I'm up there on stage.
Okay, so it's something that you're working on.
Yeah.
It's interesting to know that when I first met Ivar Lovaas, he didn't know that you could stop the rocking behaviors.
But now I just stopped right now.
Right, right.
But in fact, when I first met Ivar Lovaas, he was speaking in El Paso, Texas, and I was getting a degree in child development. And he showed a film of his students because at that time, Tony had not been diagnosed with autism. And I seen that film and I goes, that's what my child does.
Right.
And I went backstage and I talked to him and I said, how do you tell the difference between rocking behaviors of an autistic child and rocking behaviors of a blind child? The tiptoeing behavior of an autistic child and of a blind child, and the hand flapping of a blind child and autistic child. I says, have you ever worked with a child who's blind and autistic? And he said in the 40 years that he'd been working with autistic kids, he'd never worked with a blind autistic child. So there was no handbooks about how to raise Tony. It was by the seat of my pants.
Right.
But I read, in fact, when I put blind, music, and autism into a computer, which we only had at the library at the University of Texas, in there, only one article came up. And that was, Keeler had written about it. And there was this, Keeler had gone to a hospital in Canada, and amongst all the blind students there was 5 kids that were remarkable amongst all of them. They had all been born severely premature. They all had had high concentrations of oxygen for prolonged periods of time, and all of them were gifted musical from age 2.
Wow. Wow, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So one last question, Tony, for before I have you play us out.
How about if I did Why Am I Me first?
No, you don't want, they said one song, just
Yeah,
wait.
let me just
Question first.
let me just ask you one more question, and I'm going to have you play us out. Thinking for those who are going to work with people who have an autism diagnosis, is there any kind of do's and don'ts you would recommend?
Well, like you can't give a gift from God or throw away a gift. That's one thing.
Okay.
Another thing is don't count me out.
Go ahead and do it.
Maybe the time will never be right. Maybe it will always be an uphill fight. When you've got to take a stand and you just want someone by your side. When everyone makes you feel you've committed a crime. I've just got to tell you, just got one thing to say. Don't count me out. I've been making my mark in spite of the odds. I've been given every chance to back down. I've been underestimated, the unreasonable doubt. This time, don't count me out. You should have seen the pictures, vintage photographs, old familiar looks, fill the faces from the past. The hard life, the solitude shines in their eyes. What they have to overcome, we still don't realize. I've just got to tell you, I've just got one thing to say. Don't count me out. I've been making my mark in spite of the odds. I've been given every chance to back down. I've been underestimated, the unreasonable doubt. This time, don't count me out. When the future is so uncertain and the threats just don't stop, all attempts and reason fail, and justice does not prevail. When everything is against you and there's no one to trust, when they treat you like a fool, do you scream, I had enough? Maybe the time will never be right. Maybe it will always be an uphill fight. When you've got to take a stand and you just want someone by your side. When everyone makes you feel like you've committed a crime, I've just got to tell you, I've just got one thing to say. Don't count me out. I've been making my mark in spite of the odds. I've been given every chance to back down. I've been underestimated, the unreasonable doubt. This time, don't count me out. I've just got to tell you, I've just got one thing to say. Don't count me out. I've been making my mark in spite of the odds. I've been given every chance to back down. I've been underestimated. I've been underestimated. I've been underestimated. The unreasonable doubt. This time, don't count me out.